You've probably felt it before. That moment when a woman's attention slips through your fingers like smoke. One day she can't stop texting you, calling you, laughing at everything you say. And then, out of nowhere, she's gone cold, detached. You replay every moment in your mind, wondering, what did I say wrong? What did I do? But what if I told you? It wasn't about what you did. It was about what you didn't understand. Most men are fighting battles they can't even see. They think attraction is built on looks, money, or status. But those are surface illusions. The real power lies in the psychological codes that govern how women feel, attach, and respond. Once you see those codes clearly, the illusion breaks. And once you break it, everything changes. Because here's the truth most men never realize. Women are not drawn to what's obvious. They're drawn to what feels inevitable. It's not the man who gives her attention who wins her. It's the man whose presence makes her question herself. The man who feels like a mystery she can't fully solve. And the reason that's powerful is simple. Uncertainty creates emotional gravity. See, women live in the world of emotion, not logic. That's not manipulation, it's psychology. They feel before they think, they connect before they decide, and in those quiet emotional spaces, they are ruled by one question: do I feel something when I'm around him? When you act desperate, over-explain, or chase validation, you erase the tension that emotion needs to exist. But when you hold your energy, when you walk away instead of beg to stay, suddenly you create silence. And in that silence, she starts to feel again. That's the paradox of attraction. You don't get her to want you by moving closer. You do it by stepping back into your own gravity. Because deep down, every woman wants a man she can respect, a man who doesn't crumble when she tests him. And yes, she will test you, not because she hates you, but because it's how her mind separates the real from the weak. It's instinctual. She needs to feel that your confidence isn't a performance, it's your foundation. You might wonder, but why do women play these games? They don't always realize they're doing it. It's subconscious. It's emotional calibration. When she pulls away, when she gets distant, when she suddenly becomes busy, she's watching how you react. If you chase, if you panic, if you try to convince her to care, you confirm her fear that you're emotionally dependent. But when you stay calm, grounded, and unbothered, something inside her shifts, because now she feels your value, not your words, your energy. Every man has been taught to win women through effort, buy her things, text her more, prove your worth. But the truth is, it's not about proving, it's about being. When a man fully embodies his own presence, when he's secure, focused, and purpose-driven, he stops chasing love and starts radiating it. That's when women can't look away, because you've tapped into something primal, the energy of certainty. And here's the hardest part to swallow. The woman who ignored you, who ghosted you, who made you feel like you weren't enough. She would have respected you more if you had walked away first, because emotional detachment is the ultimate signal of power. When you can let go, you send a message that no words can match. I am complete without you. And that's when she finally sees you. But this is where most men fail. They confuse emotional strength with arrogance. They try to act cold, thinking it makes them seem powerful. But women can feel the difference between a man who's playing strong and a man who is strong. One is an act, the other is essence. So, let this truth sink in. You never lose women by being too strong. You lose them by being too weak in your boundaries. The moment you stop needing them to validate you, you flip the dynamic entirely. Because the real secret of attraction isn't about chasing her, it's about mastering yourself. You can spend years chasing women who don't see your worth. Or you can become the man who makes women feel your worth without saying a word. That's the man who wins. Quietly, relentlessly, unapologetically. Once you learn how to control your energy, your silence, and your focus, you won't need to compete for attention anymore. Because when a man becomes rare in his mindset, every woman who doubted him, ends up chasing what she can no longer reach. There's a reason why some men can walk into a room and instantly shift the atmosphere without saying a single word. You've seen it before. The man who doesn't try to impress anyone, the one who moves slowly, deliberately, like every second is under his control. Other men speak louder, gesture bigger, try harder. But him, he doesn't chase energy, he creates it. And here's what women feel when that kind of man enters the picture. Safety mixed with danger. Safety because he's composed. Danger because he can't be predicted. That combination is emotional lightning. Most men don't realize that women are addicted to emotion the way men are addicted to visual beauty. For men, attraction starts with the eyes. For women, it begins with how they feel in your presence. They don't want comfort. They want stimulation. They don't want endless attention. They want emotional tension, because tension, when mixed with confidence, becomes irresistible. Think about it. If you give a woman everything too soon, your time, your validation, your vulnerability, she has nothing left to discover. And discovery is what keeps emotion alive. The moment she figures you out, she moves on emotionally, even if she doesn't leave physically. So the man who never stops being slightly unpredictable, who keeps his depth private, becomes the one she can't stop thinking about. It's not about manipulation, it's about balance. You can be warm without being available. You can be caring without being consumed. You can listen without trying to fix her problems. That's where men misunderstand feminine psychology. They think emotional presence means emotional submission. But it doesn't. Presence means being fully aware of her emotions without letting them steer you. You see, when a woman feels something deeply, she tests the world to see if it can contain her. If you get swept up in her emotions, she loses trust in your strength. If you suppress her emotions, she feels unseen. But when you remain calm, still grounded, when your eyes say, "I hear you, but I'm not losing myself," that's when she melts. Because she feels something she can't find anywhere else, emotional safety. Most men are trying to be liked. The few men who are unforgettable are those who can hold space for a woman's storm without losing their calm. That's what dominance really is. It's not aggression, it's grounded energy. It's the ability to stay steady while the world tests your balance. Here's a truth that most people never speak aloud. Women crave emotional leadership, not control, not manipulation, leadership. Because her nature is emotional flow, and when she meets a man who has direction, purpose, and peace, she naturally syncs with his energy. That's not toxic, it's biological. Her nervous system relaxes when yours is steady. Her emotions amplify when yours are confident. But here's the paradox. The same qualities that make a man deeply attractive, mystery, strength, discipline, are also the ones that most men abandon the moment they fall for someone. They become obsessed with keeping her happy, proving their worth, preventing loss. And in that desperate chase, they lose the very energy that made her want them in the first place. You want to know why women say things like, "He's changed"? It's because he stopped being grounded. He became emotionally dependent on her reactions. And once that happens, she feels the polarity break. Because attraction is the dance between stability and emotion. When she becomes the emotional center and you orbit around her, the dance collapses. The moment you put a woman above your mission, your focus, your self-respect, you lose her respect. She might stay, she might even say she loves you, but emotionally, she's gone. Because she can only surrender to a man who doesn't surrender his essence. You see, every man has two choices in love. Either he sacrifices his power to keep her, or he keeps his power and allows her to choose to stay. One path feels easier at first, but it always ends in resentment. The other feels harder, but it builds lasting respect. Women feel drawn to the men they cannot shake, the ones who live by principle, not emotion. When you stand by your values, even when it costs you her approval, she feels something she can't explain, because deep down, she doesn't want a man who mirrors her emotions. She wants a man who anchors them. That's why women talk about the one that got away. He wasn't perfect, he wasn't even the nicest, but he had something rare. He didn't need her to define his worth. He walked his own path, and that makes him unforgettable. If you truly want to master female psychology, remember this. Attraction is not built in the moments you speak. It's built in the moments you don't react. Every time you choose composure over chaos, silence over begging, purpose over panic, you communicate power. And that power doesn't just attract women, it transforms you. Because the man who can command his emotions commands his world. Let's talk about something most men fear but never fully understand: women's tests. Those confusing moments when she suddenly changes her tone, challenges your opinion, questions your loyalty, or withdraws affection for no clear reason. You think it's drama, you think she's being difficult, but it's not that simple. It's instinct. Because deep in her psychology, she's not testing your patience, she's testing your strength. Every test a woman gives has one hidden question behind it. Are you the same man even when I challenge you? She doesn't want to destroy your confidence. She wants to feel it. She wants to feel that your sense of self is not something she can shake, because if she can shake it, she can't trust it. You see, women live in a world of emotion, and emotion is unpredictable. So when a woman meets a man who claims to be confident, she can't just take his word for it. She needs to feel it under pressure. That's why tests appear when things start getting serious, when attraction turns to potential connection. She'll say something that sounds dismissive. She'll pull back her energy, take longer to reply, or make a sarcastic comment that stings. And every part of you will want to react. But if you react, you fail. Because what she's really observing is your emotional equilibrium. The man who stays calm when his ego is poked creates the deepest impression. Not because he's playing games, but because he's showing her something rare: stability. In her world of emotional turbulence, stability is the ultimate turn-on. You've probably seen it before. The guy who laughs off what others take personally, the man who doesn't chase validation after being ignored, the one who can smile when she expects a fight. That's not indifference, it's mastery, and mastery is magnetic. When a woman tests you, she's unconsciously asking, "Can I trust you to stay grounded when I'm not?" If your response is emotional chaos, defensiveness, anger, panic, she loses faith in your strength. But if your response is quiet certainty, relaxed posture, composed tone, unfazed expression, she feels safe again, because she sees that you're not reacting to her emotions, you're containing them, and that's when she begins to relax. That's when she starts to admire you, because emotional containment is leadership in its purest form. Men often misunderstand this dynamic. They call it manipulation or emotional games. But in truth, it's nature's way of testing alignment. She wants to see if your confidence is real or if it's conditional, based on her approval. If you only feel like a man when she praises you, you've already failed the test. If you can stand in your truth, even when she doubts you, she'll start to see you differently. Here's what happens psychologically. When a woman realizes you're emotionally unshakable, her brain switches from testing to trusting. She stops looking for proof of your confidence and starts surrendering to it. Because now she knows that your calm isn't an act, it's your essence. And essence cannot be faked. But let's be honest, this isn't easy. The first time a woman pulls back, your instincts will scream to chase her. The first time she questions your worth, your pride will beg you to argue. And the first time she shows disinterest, your fear will tell you to overcompensate. That's when you have to remember, emotional control is power. Every time you resist the urge to react, you reinforce your dominance, not over her, but over yourself. And when you master yourself, women start to see something in you that they rarely encounter. A man who doesn't flinch, a man who doesn't beg, a man who doesn't break when emotions rise. Because let's face it, any man can be confident when everything goes his way. But only a rare man remains composed when things go wrong. That's the difference between the ones women forget and the ones they never recover from. You see, the strongest men are not the loudest or most aggressive. They're the ones who move through chaos with quiet certainty. They can love deeply without losing direction. They can connect emotionally without losing identity. They can be patient without being passive. And that balance, that quiet fire, is what women feel in their bones. So the next time a woman tests you, pause. Don't react. Don't defend. Smile, breathe, and let the silence speak for you. Because that silence says everything she needs to hear. I'm not moved by approval. I'm anchored in who I am, and when she realizes she can't control you emotionally, something incredible happens. She starts to respect you, and that respect turns into attraction. Because deep down, every woman knows that a man who can't be shaken emotionally can lead her spiritually, mentally, and physically. So remember this, her tests aren't there to break you, they're there to build you. If you pass them, you don't just win her admiration, you earn her trust. And once a woman trusts you on that level, there's a reason some men stay in a woman's mind long after the relationship ends. She can block his number, unfollow his social media, distract herself with other people, but at night, when everything goes quiet, her mind goes back to him. Not because he was perfect, not because he said all the right things, but because he made her feel something that she can't find anywhere else. You see, attraction fades when emotion ends, but obsession begins when emotion stays unresolved. And the truth is, women don't obsess over men who were always available, predictable, or easy to understand. They obsess over men who made them feel depth, men who touched something primal in them, the balance between desire and uncertainty, affection and distance, love and mystery. The men who are unforgettable all have one thing in common. They never gave away their emotional power. They didn't chase approval. They didn't beg for attention. They didn't try to prove their worth. Instead, they held their presence like a mirror, reflecting her emotions but never absorbing them. That's what women can't forget. You have to understand something fundamental about the feminine mind. It's designed to seek meaning in emotion. She remembers how you made her feel, not what you said. So when you walk away with strength, when you end things with calm rather than chaos, when you stay composed while she's emotional, you leave a permanent emotional imprint because her brain connects calm masculinity with power. That's why the man who can remain kind but distant becomes magnetic. He's not cold, he's controlled, he's not indifferent, he's emotionally disciplined, and that discipline becomes the tension she can't shake. Think of it like this. When you don't overinvest, she has to wonder where she stands. That wondering triggers emotional pursuit, and pursuit is the seed of obsession, because now she's emotionally engaged in figuring you out, and the mind always craves closure on what it can't define. So when you're unpredictable yet grounded, mysterious yet sincere, you create a loop she can't close. And that loop becomes addiction. But here's the part most men miss. The goal isn't to manipulate a woman into obsession. The goal is to live in such alignment with your own power that your presence naturally becomes rare. When you embody discipline, silence, direction, and self-respect, you stop being common. And what's rare always becomes valuable. You don't have to play games, you just have to stop explaining yourself. You don't have to chase validation, you just have to start living in purpose. Because the man who's truly focused on his mission sends a signal louder than any words. I am not seeking approval. I am seeking growth. And women feel that difference instantly. They can sense when a man's world doesn't revolve around them. That's what draws them in. It's emotional polarity. Because she wants to enter your world, not become your world. The moment she senses that you'd trade your peace to keep her, she loses respect. But the moment she sees that you'd walk away to protect your peace, she feels curiosity. And that curiosity burns deeper than attraction. Because now she has to know what makes you so certain, so calm, so free. That's why emotional detachment is not coldness, it's power. When you can walk away from anyone who disrespects your energy, you become untouchable. And women are instinctively drawn to untouchable men, not because they want to control them, but because they want to understand them. The men who stay unforgettable aren't the loudest, flashiest, or richest. They're the ones who have self-mastery. They understand the rhythm of silence. They don't rush to fill gaps with words or apologies. They let tension breathe. And in that silence, women project meaning, emotion, curiosity. That's where connection deepens, not through constant communication, but through emotional restraint. When you become a man of restraint, everything changes. You stop chasing closure because you realize you are the closure. You stop proving yourself because you understand your energy already speaks. And you stop fearing loss because you've mastered detachment, the ultimate power in the masculine frame. Women can't truly walk away from that energy. Even if they leave physically, emotionally, they're still connected. Because deep down, she doesn't miss the man. She misses the feeling she had around him, the feeling of stability, mystery, and emotional presence that her mind can't replicate elsewhere. So when you think she's forgotten you, understand this: she hasn't. You've simply become the lesson she needed to learn. And every time she meets a man who lacks that depth, she remembers. She remembers your composure, your discipline, your silence. Because once a woman experiences the energy of a man who truly knows himself, she can never unfeel it. That's the quiet revenge of self-mastery. You don't need to prove she lost something valuable. Every man thinks he understands what women want until he realizes that what women say they want and what they actually respond to are not the same thing. They'll tell you they want a kind man, a gentleman, a good listener. And yes, those traits matter. But underneath that surface, beneath logic and words, lies the true emotional language of feminine desire, the craving for polarity. Polarity is the electric current between masculine stability and feminine emotion. It's the magnetic pull that happens when your energy commands without controlling, when your presence leads without forcing, when your silence speaks louder than any compliment ever could. That's what women respond to. Not the words, not the charm, but the energy behind them. A woman doesn't fall for your kindness alone. She falls for the man who is kind yet firm. She doesn't fall for your attention. She falls for the man who gives attention but doesn't lose direction. She doesn't fall for the man who puts her first. She falls for the man who puts his purpose first, and then chooses her from strength, not need. Because the truth is, desire doesn't live in comfort. It lives in tension. The tension between closeness and distance, between dominance and empathy, between the parts of you that make her feel safe and the parts that make her feel challenged. When you lose that tension by becoming predictable, agreeable, or overly available, attraction dissolves. She may still like you, but she won't feel you. You want to know why women remember certain men forever? It's because those men spoke in the emotional language of presence. They didn't rush. They didn't seek reassurance. They let their actions, their tone, and their silence do the speaking. And that silence carried weight because it wasn't emptiness. It was intention. You see, feminine desire feeds off masculine certainty, not arrogance, certainty. The kind of certainty that says, I know who I am, I know where I'm going, and I won't lose myself in anyone's emotions. When you carry that energy, everything about you changes. Your eye contact, your posture, your decisions. You stop chasing connection, and connection starts chasing you. Because in the modern world, where most men are lost in distraction, the one who radiates focus becomes a gravitational force. A woman feels it instantly. She feels that you are present but not possessed, loving but not dependent, and it disarms her. Because real masculine presence gives her what she secretly craves but rarely finds: emotional rest. When a woman meets a man who's fully grounded in himself, she doesn't have to control him. She doesn't have to lead. She can finally relax into her femininity because she senses he won't collapse under pressure. That's when true connection begins, not through manipulation, but through energetic alignment. But here's the paradox. Most men destroy that alignment because they seek constant validation. They keep asking, do you still like me? Are we okay? Did I do something wrong? Every time you do that, you chip away at the foundation of your masculine energy. You show that your emotions depend on her responses, and that dependence kills polarity. When a woman feels you need her approval, she subconsciously loses attraction, because her instinct tells her you're not leading anymore, you're following her emotional lead. She doesn't feel safe in that energy, not because she wants to control you, but because she needs to feel your certainty, to trust her own vulnerability. So how do you speak the true language of feminine desire? You lead with calm assertiveness. You express emotion without becoming emotional. You listen deeply without losing direction. And most importantly, you stay rooted in your values, even when it costs you her approval. That's what separates boys from men and men from leaders. Because every woman, consciously or not, is searching for a man who can lead emotionally without controlling physically. The man who says, I don't need you to complete me, but I choose you because I want to share my peace. That's the voice of power. That's the energy of freedom. When you live in that energy, women stop questioning your worth. They start adapting to your rhythm. They begin to mirror your calmness, your stillness, your certainty, because you've given them something no amount of compliments, gifts, or promises ever could: emotional stability wrapped in mystery. You want to be unforgettable? Stop trying to be the man she loves. Start being the man she respects. Because love without respect fades, but respect with desire becomes devotion. And devotion isn't built through words, it's built through energy. Every time you stand firm in who you are, you strengthen that energy. Every time you walk away from disrespect, you amplify that energy. And every time you choose growth over approval, you elevate that energy. Women don't follow words, they follow energy. There comes a moment in every man's life when he realizes everything he's been chasing was never the answer. The attention, the validation, the approval, the constant need to be chosen. It all feels empty once you understand that the real game was never about winning her. It was about mastering yourself. Because when you finally stop trying to prove your worth to women, something inside you shifts. You start to see how much power you've been giving away. Every time you over-explained yourself, every time you tolerated disrespect, every time you ignored your gut just to keep someone close, you weren't loving her, you were betraying yourself. But once you see it, once you really see it, you can't unsee it. And that's when your evolution begins. Self-mastery is the quiet revolution that every powerful man eventually goes through. It's not about being emotionless. It's about controlling your emotions so deeply that they no longer control you. It's when rejection doesn't shake your peace, when silence doesn't break your focus, and when love no longer blinds you to your worth. Because the truth is, the most attractive thing a man can be is whole. Not half a person waiting for someone to complete him, but a man who can stand in solitude and still radiate strength. A man who doesn't chase connection, but attracts it through alignment. A man who can give love fully and still walk away if it costs him his peace. That kind of man becomes rare. And in a world full of men desperate to be noticed, rare is irresistible. When you reach that level of self-mastery, you no longer worry about who stays or who leaves, because your worth isn't conditional on their presence. Your energy becomes the filter, and only those aligned with your peace can remain. That's real power, not dominance, not control, but peace. Because peace is the rarest form of strength. And when a man protects his peace above all else, he becomes the kind of man no woman can replace, no rejection can break, and no world can corrupt. So from this moment on, stop chasing what's fleeting. Start building what's eternal, yourself. Because once you master yourself, every woman, every relationship, every situation transforms. Not because you force it to, but because you've changed the vibration you move through the world with. And when that happens, when you finally become grounded in your own power, you'll realize something beautiful. You never needed to win women over. You only needed to win yourself back. So ask yourself this: what's one area of your life where you've been giving away your power without realizing it? Drop your answer in the comments below, because your awareness might help another man take back his power too. If this message hit you somewhere deep, hit the like button, subscribe for more, and share this with a friend who needs to hear it today. Because once men truly understand this, all women are finished.